going on, trading card game players? Figs here with Figs Forum, bringing you guys a deck list that's not Phantom Knights. So I wanted to go ahead and showcase for you guys the Maliss deck that I played for the Rochester Regional at Millennium Games. It was a blast. I had a great time. There was 8 rounds of Swiss. Top cut for invite was actually top 32. And then of course prizing was for top 8. So I was able to get 17th place. I went X2, no draws. Didn't actually come close to time on any of my games, which was really nice. They were very clean games. All the wins that I had were actually all 2-0. My only 2 losses, I made it to game 3. And of course met some unfortunate variances with some of the issues that I had, but fortunate enough, the way that I actually put together the deck made it very consistent in the fact that I won all of my game ones, even if I didn't win the die roll. And I had actually only won the die roll twice, but I was able to win all of my game ones minus the 2 matches that I actually lost. And that just allowed me to win game 2 just by inherently obviously playing very good going second cards, but also having the options that I need to deal with whatever matchups I needed to obviously deal with. So yeah, I want to showcase this deck for you guys. I know it's not Phantom Knights, but it is something very similar. They're level 3 darks, but I wanted to play a deck that could perform in this format that would make it easy for me to get my invite, because as I said before, I do plan on playing Orcus PK for Nationals. So I wanted to make sure I got my invite so I didn't have to worry about last chance qualifiers. So yeah, let's get into the deck list. I can showcase for you guys what I was playing. I know a lot of you guys are already familiar with Maliss. For those that aren't, I do apologize. I'm going to skip over obviously the more, obvious things, but I will take note on the things that I thought were important, as well as the things that I think are important for the deck in general, as well as my own tech choices, because there are obviously some things that will be different than the standard list. But, it works for me, and, if it works for you, then you guys can, obviously try my formula. But otherwise, whatever transformations you guys can make, as always, jump in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think, but let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. So I played 2 Dormouse, 2 White Rabbit, 3 March, and 3 Chessie. I wanted to keep this ratio because I do believe that seeing names is actually very important, and it is just way too important. I actually lost one of my matches because I didn't see a name. Game 3, I saw nothing but, no name. I saw AI Meet You, I saw Backup, but didn't see this, and unfortunately it wasn't enough to allow me to play since they had the Ash Blossom. So it just cost me the game just not having a name. Even if they had the Ash Blossom and I saw a name, I'm playing through the Ash Blossom because of both searchers, but they had the answer to the backup, so I wasn't able to actually be able to set anything up since I couldn't get to a name and resolve the search. But again, if I had seen a hard draw name, I wouldn't have had that problem. And I don't side any of these cards out. The only time I do side anything out is a Chessie going second. Otherwise, I do think that the amount of names that you play are very important. Variance is very important for this deck. If you're not focusing your deck on being very consistent, you will have trouble with that. And that's why I did consider cards like Allure of Darkness, but I felt like prioritizing hand traps was actually more important for me, especially after testing, because sometimes you can see too many names, which is weird enough. It's just the fact that all of these guys are normal summons, and he's a normal summon if you don't see a name. And there's a lot of times where I actually did have to normal summon this, but because he's a Maliss name, despite not having a real effect on board, he does actually provide a lot of value. And then as far as the spells and traps, I actually played just MTP, Maliss in the Mirror, and the 2 Maliss in Underground. I actually like this a lot. I wanted to mitigate actually drawing too many of the traps because the traps don't really do anything on their own. And again, if we're not seeing names and the traps aren't going to do anything, this is the only one that does. And this still allows your White Rabbit to be full combo, because you would just normal summon this, activate MTP, banish this, bring it back, add March Hare. Then March Hare can banish MTP. You won't be able to reset it that turn, but you are able to set up Crypto to put it back in deck. So that way, if you have Red Ransom in rotation, you can reset it next turn to then use it. So in the same turn, you're not able to reset it, but it is still a 1-card combo for White Rabbit. It just forces you to have to banish it and not set it up again, which can be risky, of course, if your opponent does have enough hand traps to stop you from completely playing the game. But in most situations, Maliss is able to play through 2 to 3 hand traps and still end on something relevant, which is really nice, because as long as you resolve most of the time the Red Ransom effect to search, you're going to get Maliss in the Mirror, and that just pretty much sets you up, for your entire turn, next turn on your opponent. So I like this. GWC is in the side because I do think it's important to have going first. But again, I wanted to mitigate seeing dead cards in game 1. I want to win every game 1. That was my goal this weekend, was to pretty much just win all of my game 1s. So that game 2 and 3, I didn't have to fumble on Lancia. But again, we are playing cards to facilitate that, so it makes it a little bit easier. But these are my ratios. I love this card. Mirror, I think, is absolutely strong. The MTP, I think, was the right one to play, and I didn't miss any other one, to be honest. And then we have, of course, Gold, Sark, and Terraforming. I mean, these are important for consistency. We also need them for extenders whenever we need to see names. As I said, seeing names is way too important. I main decked 2 I Meet You, AI Meet You, 1 Wizard, and 3 backup. I felt like this was actually amazing. I had absolutely no problem playing this engine. The only time it didn't feel good is when I didn't see a Maliss name, and that only happened once. Otherwise, this was absolutely insane, especially going first. I mean, if you just win the die roll, you just win the game, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to see one of these with a name, and you're just going to just full play. Even playing into a board is very important, because a lot of times you're going to have to play into a board and deal with Lancia. So these cards just allow you to facilitate playing into the board, and then also being able to play around Lancia at the same time without having to worry about, taking away any side options, which I didn't like. A lot of people do like 2 to 3 of these in the side, and it's like, well, at that point, I mean, if you're playing power spells, power spells in the deck like Call By, Talents, like these are just more important, because the Call By and Talents are going to help you deal with the board and other hand traps, but you're not even able to use them if you're not even able to start playing the game. So that was my thing, and I wanted to, obviously optimize on this, and I did prioritize playing this as a Cybers deck, which you'll see in the extra deck a little bit later. But this was amazing, honestly. I loved this ratio. I originally had 2 Wizard and 3 of these. Then I wanted to play AI Meets You just because we don't care about Droll anyways. And I wanted to have more options of being able to search backup, because he's actually the more broken one than Wizard. A Wizard you can't really play by himself. This actually allows you to play by itself even without a Maliss name, but you don't really get anywhere. That's why it's important to at least see this, because he can search a Maliss name. So ideally it was like playing 5 copies of backup, which also gets you a Maliss name. Even if it's dumped to grave, you're able to find a way to facilitate obviously using it in some way. So absolutely perfect. I love this ratio. I wouldn't side any of this stuff. I think it's worth playing in the main because you don't lose anything by playing it. And actually, as far as engine, it's 22 engine cards. So we're playing 22 cards that pretty much allow us to play. And that was the most important thing for me. I wanted to play as much as possible, especially because March here, I played a lot of times during my opponent's turn 0, just to allow me to start setting up and get the names on the board. So that way they can't just Ame board wipe me on a normal summon. I'm already committed, and I'm able to just start playing immediately without having to waste a normal summon. So that actually, March here was just, I absolutely love March here. But that's it for engine stuff. Let's get into the non-engine. I play 3 Fualos. I know, I absolutely hate the Mulch armies, but unfortunately, if I want to play in this format competitively, you have to have something. Fualos is my favorite one, honestly, because every deck plays into it in some way, shape, or form. Or you're going to activate it and your opponent's just not going to decide not to play, which is just as good for you. 3 Imperm, 3 Nibiru, 3 Dominus, 3 Ash, and 3 Droll. So I wanted to maximize on having as many options of being able to blow my opponent out as possible. I know a lot of these cards do conflict with Impulse, but I think it's very important to have access to a lot of hand traps this format, just because a lot of decks are able to play through multiple hand traps. Even Droll, when you Droll your opponent, if they're playing Mitsu Fiendsmith, they're going to end on something. And honestly, just allowing them to end on Caesar alone is really hard to deal with if you don't see the Imperm. So I wanted to prioritize having cards like Nibiru, Imperm, and Dominus, a mixture of everything that will allow me to, at least if I draw my opponent and they try to start playing with Fiendsmith, I can nim them before the Caesar, force the Caesar out of play, and all they have is basically just Paradise. So that was my way of being able to kind of deal with each matchup. Same thing with Maliss. I mean, this honestly, this is really good against Maliss, especially if you know how to play the deck and know when this is good. A lot of times my opponents would actually overcommit after the Splash Mage. I would actually like Imperm the Splash Mage, then they have to give me a Wizard. And it's like, if you give me a Wizard after like I Imperm or, Dominus your Splash, it's like I'm dropping the Nibiru, because at that point, you're going to lose your best extender. Backup is not enough for you to actually keep playing past the Nibiru. You have to have something like March or Wizard. So depending on what I believe you have, what you've searched, and how you're playing the original turn or the start of that turn, Nibiru comes in clutch. So I felt like all of these are just too important. I didn't want to see Call By. I didn't want to see Talents, because then if I'm going first and my opponent doesn't hit me with a hand trap, they're dead cards. This is all about winning our game ones and having the most consistent way of stopping our opponent from playing the game. And it worked every single time. Every single time. Most of the die rolls I lost, but playing 18 non-engine just allows you to answer most of what your opponent's doing, to put them on a minuscule board for you to just OTK them. Because this deck, literally with one name, up to access code is OTK with follow-up. So it's like you never even lose out on what you're doing in setting up your board, because the red ransom is going to get you a spell, and then you're just going to make access code and just go to battle. And if they have something, the spell just lets you keep playing, and then you just make Heart Scripter and just kill them anyways. So that was it for the deck, exactly 40. I wouldn't play anything more. I did have it at 41 again at one point with the Wizard, and I actually didn't play Bestials just because I felt like they were too low impact. There was a lot of times where I had Bestials and I felt like I could have placed them in a certain position, could have made a difference, but it was after knowing my opponent's, what my opponent had. Like, so knowing when to bestial can be a little difficult just because not having the enough knowledge to know how your opponent's going to play out the rest of their turn honestly, mitigates the card being so strong. So I wanted something that had a higher performance like Nibiru. So my original cut was actually the 2 Bestial and Called By for the 3 Nibiru. It was the best choice that I made, honestly. I didn't miss Bestials at all. I enjoyed when my opponent used Bestials on me just because, it puts a body on board and it allows me to, know that they can't imper me. They can't, do things like that are going to, take my board away from me or interrupt my board. So it was great. Like I said, 40 cards. Let's get into the extra. 1 Wicked Kid. This card became less important, I guess I would say. I think I only made this once just because of the fact that I am playing a heavy package on the AI Meets You or the Cyber stuff. So you don't really need this. This was more in here for the moments where I needed to set up a good board against Mitsu. She's great against Mitsu. Like, this card is absolutely insane against Mitsu. Also gets you the important stuff, which is the backup and the wizard. So I do like it a lot. Obviously, it's very necessary and I would not play it. Pit Knight early. This card actually came in clutch. So I actually was online, and I do apologize. I don't know the name of people who play more competitively, but I seen somebody was playing this. I liked it a lot. I like the concept because I want to Cybers lock myself. I want to do so without having to worry about not having the appropriate outs to things like Chaos Hunter. So originally I was playing Cerberus. I replaced this with Cerberus, and I didn't regret it. I actually came up. I was able to make Lingaribo, then made Splash, brought back a guy. They Chaos Huntered me. Then I used the 2 dudes, Summon Wizard here, activated it, had 3 bodies, made Red Ransom up with early pointing up because I had Lingaribo pointing down. Made Red Ransom 1-2, and just was able to gate the Chaos Hunter. It was a lab, so they added it back to hand and resummoned it, but it was after I had already established a full board. And ended up taking away all of their cards and just had Imperm and Strike to deal with the Lancia and the Chaos Hunter. So yeah, this was really good. Honestly, great card. It came in the way it needed it to, especially with how I theoried the deck. And it allowed me to win a match because of it. So I was very glad about that. Dark Charmer, originally wasn't playing it. I put it in last second over Lizardos, and I don't regret it. I made this a lot, actually, just because of the fact that you can like try to steal Ame. It allows you to, you can also summon this and obviously try to search for what you need for Maliss names. Also, it's obviously a way to bridge. You're able to climb with it as well. So if you need to try to get the access code for whatever reason without Maliss cards, you can definitely do so with Dark Charmer. It finds its way, but of course it's Dark Charmer, so it does what it needs to. Link Spider, self-explanatory. 2 Lingaribo. I did play Almirage. I'm honestly very glad that I did. There was a couple situations that came up. My opponent had Lancia, so I would start playing. Like, I'd summon a Maliss name, like Chessie Cat, because I drew it all the time. I'd go to use the effect, they'd Lancia. I'd make Lingaribo, and then I'd side in cards like Book of Eclipse to stop my opponent from really, like, playing. So they would, like, summon something. Maybe I imperm, they try to attack over Lingaribo, I book. Then I have another hand trap, and I normal summon it. And then I'm able to just play. Because now that, even though I may not have, like, something, if they Lancia me again, I just normal summon, Splash Mage, bring it back, Red Ransom, get Mirror. Now I'm set up completely for their turn. So even if they try to start playing, I now have, Mirror into Red Ransom, come back, get White Rabbit, get the Trap, get March. So I'm completely set up to just blow them out the next turn, which is absolutely great. So this came in clutch actually quite a few times. Splash Mage is super self-explanatory. SP I made once, but it is necessary. Access Code is my favorite card in the deck. Cryptor is my second favorite. Then you've got your regular other 2 names, the White Binder, Red Ransom, A Code, and Firewall. I don't like Bomber. Bomber, I think, in my opinion, is actually very bad because it isn't a monster that points to his link points. It's any link point. So your opponent is actually able to kind of mitigate your board if you don't have Wicked Kid on board and you do have Bomber. You can actually force your opponent to kind of board wipe themselves in certain situations. So I didn't like that too much, especially because, especially with this deck alone, you can march and summon, White Binder back and then White Binder or Red Ransom, bring a guy back, summon it to a point of an arrow. So it's like you can literally force your opponent a Bomber itself. So I didn't like that very much. I felt like that wasn't a great thing, but these were perfect cards. My end board was always the same with the A Code, especially because of the sideboard. I prioritized making this because I was playing blowout cards for when I did go first. But I mean, I only went first probably about 2 or 3 games. So I wasn't really able to utilize a lot of the side cards like I had hoped, but that's it for the extra. I wouldn't change anything. I didn't miss anything. Lizardos probably could have came up, but honestly, there was never a moment where I needed it. I lost because of it or anything like that. 1 Call By, 1 Talents. Like I said, power spells that I wanted to have in the deck for going first or second, depending on the matchup. I like talents into the Ryzeo matchup because it allows you to like play into Detonator and then try to take it. And it forces more because it's non-targeting, so you can just kind of steal stuff. So if they have like Ame, Detonator on board, and Caesar, you kind of force an interruption on an effect, talents them, and then they're just like kind of scrambling because if they give you the Detonator, it's, you know, they're not going to be able to recur it off of the XYZ that, you know, brings it back. And then of course if you take Caesar, you know, you can stop the guy that does that. And then if you take Ame, they can't. So it's like you put them in a position to like kind of steal something that's just too important. So I feel like Talents was just really good into the boards like that. Also, obviously, is good going first. So these were kind of like going first options. I did 3 Book of Eclipse. This card was absolutely amazing. So I love this card right now just because of the fact that it's insane against every deck other than Maliss. It's very good against like the Cash Tier Regenesis decks. I do like it as well against Ryzeo because once they get 2 names on board, you just kind of put them face down depending on how far they get and how you interact with them. You know, you're also able to deal with their end board with this. This answers everything on their board other than the Mitsu stuff. So it's nice being able to turn off Caesar, Detonator, stuff like that. It's good against all the other rogue matchups too. Yubel, everything else, like just so many other good decks. Also, you can use it to dodge things like Imperm, which I did once, which was really nice. But otherwise, it's solid card. I really liked it a lot, and it actually put in a lot of work. Artifact Lancia, self-explanatory. The GWC, I wanted to have obviously option to this, but I just didn't want to see it going first or going second, so I put it in the side. 3 Strike. I like Strike. It actually came up for Lancia alone. So a lot of times you get Lancia and then you're just like, okay, well, you know, I need something that's going to deal with my opponent or that's pretty high impact. And this is very high impact because not only does it negate the card, it destroys it, gets rid of it from anywhere. So if my opponent Lancias me and I'm able to survive with like a Book of Eclipse or hand traps and my turn comes back and they have Lancia again, like this just answers the Lancia. And it worked twice that way perfectly. And then Deck Lockdown. This card was absolutely insane in theory. Unfortunately, I never drew it because I only went first like 2 or 3 games and I only set it in once because one of the games I lost was to Maliss and I wouldn't side this against Maliss. But in theory, it's absolutely insane, this format, in my opinion. Every deck loses to this just because of the fact that it stops you from searching and it stops you from summoning from the main deck. So for Ryzeo, you're not able to use Ice. You're not able to get your searches. It stops Fiendsmith. You're not able to track. You're also not able to use Requiem. It stops the Mitsu deck. You're not able to ritual from deck. You're also not able to activate prayers to search. So it takes away all of your abilities to search, and every engine in Mitsu, Ryzeo, Fiendsmith actually does summon from deck. So, you know, you're able to have that option. It's also good against a lot of the rogue decks as well. Regenesis, Kashtira. It stops the search abilities. It stops the Regenesis card that summons from deck. So, I mean, even just throughout the format, this card's actually very good still as well. You know, against other decks, but primarily we wanted to have additional floodgate option against decks like Mitsu, because I know that is one of the more popular decks, and they already kind of have their own floodgate against us. So I wanted to be able to like get Lancia and just go, all right, deck lockdown. And this doesn't hurt. This doesn't hurt the deck because you don't summon from deck. I don't play TB11. You know, you search, but you don't care. But you draw off Chessie, you draw off Whitebinder. You're still good. The only thing you can't search off is Red Ransom and the MTP. This card, in theory, was going to be absolutely insane. Just never had a chance to actually put it to work. So yeah, I hope you guys appreciate my formula or my take on the deck. I just wanted to showcase for you guys what it was that I played at the Rochester Regional at Millennium Games. I had a blast playing. The games were absolutely insane. Shout out to all my opponents. Able to get my invite, so I will be taking Orcus PK to Nationals this year. So hope to see you guys all there. Hope to see you guys playing, you know, some form of PK or even Orcus. Honestly, it's going to be fun because, again, my first time playing it, but hopefully you guys enjoyed as well. Hopefully you enjoyed the deck profile today. You know, if you guys, you know, have any questions, jump in the comment section below. Let me know your take, your formula on, you know, what you guys are playing or how you would play the deck. You know, otherwise, you know, share your ideas on Phantom Knights, PK, Orcus, whatever you guys want to do in the comments, of course. But like, subscribe, and I hope you guys continue to appreciate the content.